Okay, hi there. Welcome back, everybody. Just before we start going here, just a reminder for everybody how grading is working with all of this stuff. That when you submit your grades, I only actually input the grade if you do better on the assignment. If your mark does not go up, I do not input the grade. So when you are attempting these assignments, make sure you're just having fun, doing the best you can do instead of rushing to just get it out of the way with. It's more about mastery than completion. Also, that hopefully is an encouragement for more people to start trying these out. So I'll get into it. This week's topic is being a member of church and society. And this is outcome 10.8. So some basic notes to introduce us here. Um, we are all called to live our lives according to Christ's teachings and to participate in the church. However, we are also called to be responsible citizens. Sometimes these two lives can conflict with each other. For this week, we are going to start thinking about the challenges to living a life in the church while simultaneously living in secular society. So as a reminder for you individuals, that secular society is that is more free of religion and free of religious influence from it. So the activity itself, this week's activity is a series of reflections. So rather than using this week's video to explain assignment one, I'm going to use it to address all the material more comprehensively. So I'm going to go down to that. So you're going to have to explain the first reflection. Explain Jesus' statement to give back to Caesar what is Caesar's and to God what is God's. This is in Mark 12, chapter 12, verse 17. So if you check the Bible out, you can find that. Just a quick Google search will help you find it, and it won't be too difficult. If you want more context, you can also look up the Bible Epic miniseries. One of the earlier episodes on Jesus does address this in the recruiting of his disciples, his earlier disciples. And so when you look at this, make sure you do get the full context for what is being addressed there. And really, it is your job just to explain that one. I'm not going to give you too much help on this, um, just because obviously I want you being able to explain it for yourself and defend it for yourselves on this. Next one is discuss benefits and challenges of the 10 responsibilities of a good government identified by the Canadian Conference of Catholic Bishops. So you're going to look at each one of these individual elements and just give a list of benefits and challenges to it. So I'm going to give you a couple examples to start, but then the rest of it will be up to you. So respect the dignity of the person is one of those. Respect the dignity of the person. So obvious benefit of this is that we are all equal, which actually means we're treated equally, not just being equal. That's a huge difference in our society, saying we are equal and actually treating each other as equal. Oh, there we go. There's a little bit more light for you guys. Hopefully that will help you see me a bit better here. There we go. But if we look at the challenges to that, we have the resistance of past ideology. You see lots of our society. We still have lots of racist ideals and racist ideologies that still exist within our society. Pay still isn't equal for men and women. I've seen it in women in my life. That same job, less money. When you look at it, you still see the divide between races, and you still see racism and religious discrimination, and you still see all this going on in our society. Another one I'll give you an example of is protect the family. It's about protecting the family. So once again, it's about keeping us safe. That's awesome, isn't it? Keeping us safe, well-being, safety is awesome. But when you look at that, there's also a challenge to protecting the to the idea of protecting the family. How far is too far? So when you look at that, that could take a couple different ways as well. So how far is too far? So for example, in the States, you have the castle law, where you can actually defend your property with lethal force if needed. Um, on the other side of how far is too far, though, is how much should they get involved? When you're looking at this, how much do you actually want them in our houses doing all of this? So when we look at this, there's challenges to each of them. So you have the idea of go through these quickly, accept the rule of law. So once again, the actual, how do you enforce it? How do you get people to accept it? Promote the common good, good order. So once again, look at that though, the idea of common good. common good, the good for everybody. Safeguard the right to life for every person. This is another interesting one. I'm just going to raise the question of abortion and euthanasia. So when you look at abortion and euthanasia, are those safeguarding everyone's rights to life? Be responsible for the economy and well-being of the citizens. This is another interesting. When you do look at this, it's very important. We do need an economy. That's part of it. But we also need to look after the citizens of the nation as well. But what is well-being? What does it even mean, the well-being of them? So right now we're seeing a lot of this, where we see the transgression between different ideologies saying what they believe is the necessary well-being versus what others say. Give access to work and just wages. Well, once again, what type of work? What is just wages? How do you give that access? Where does things like capitalistic motivation fit in? The striving for more money, all of that. Ensure religious freedom. So once again, we have laws that are coming in all the time that go against religious freedom. We are in an increasingly secular society, which by nature is decreasing religious freedom. Look after the health of our citizens. Once again, how is that being managed, though? Think of things like private health care versus public health care. How is it managed from when they force you to do things to when you want to do things? Think of anti-vaxxers and their arguments that they make versus vaccines themselves and that side of the argument. So you can consider a few different sides of that. And finally, defend the country. Well, what does it mean to defend the country? How do you defend it? There's lots of different ways of looking at that. Yes, it's necessary to defend it, but by what means is it happening? So I hope that helps with this first one a little bit. Once again, just review this video if you need any more help with that. Second one, discuss the benefits and challenges to the 6 responsibilities of citizens to the country identified by the Canadian Conference of Catholic Bishops. So this is us. So the other one was for our government, what they have to do for us. The next one is for us, what we have to do. So we must obey civil authority. So what does that actually look like, obeying civil authority? And think of that, though, as a challenge when we consider our Catholic values. So we have to obey civil authority, but what happens when civil authority goes against our value? What happens when it contradicts our faith? How do we handle those situations? Voting. Voting is a huge one. We have to vote, but how are you voting? Are you including your faith into voting? How does that play a role? When you look at the different parties and you think about it, various parties have various influences of the Catholic faith and are addressed it in different ways. So when you look at conservative ideals of the traditional family model, which would support Catholic values, but then you look at more of the left-wing liberal perspectives of social need. And so you see that while both of them do have positives, they'll also have negatives based on how you want to do that. Participate in public life. Yes, we actually have to participate in public life. We're not supposed to be hermits out there. We gotta participate, be part of it, because once again, salvation is not just for us. Salvation is for everyone. God calls us to share that message with everyone. Pay taxes. Yes, we have to pay our taxes. When you're doing this one, though, review reflection 1. If that's a little bit of a hint, when you go back to reflection 1 up here, give to Caesar what is Caesar's and God what is God's. This is actually referencing paying taxes. So hopefully you can take a peek at that, and this gives you a little hint to help you with this one as well, going back and forth. Welcome immigrants and refugees. So once again, there's a lot of questions that go around this. How much is too much? Is there such thing as too much? How do we financially support this? Where does this come economically? How about religious ideals? How do we protect them? If we welcome in immigrants and refugees, can our government afford to do all of this for them? So when you look at that, there's a lot of questions. There's a lot of questions that really revolve around that. And then once again, defend the country. We have to participate in that. We have to defend our country and our way of life. That's part of who we are. That's part of what we have to do. But once again, how do we do that within our faith, within the context of our faith and our beliefs? So for each topic, remember, you've been asked to discuss why it is beneficial, good for us and others, as well as the challenges, what will make it difficult. Every one of these do have benefits. I want to emphasize that. I'm very much in support of government. I'm very much in support of civic participation. That's what you're really seeing. You're seeing government up here on this one, and you're seeing civic participation on this one. And I'm big into both of those. I believe they do affect everyone, but the reality is there's challenges to every single one, both how we understand them and how we enact them. So that's what you're going to be viewing for this. So if you do have any more questions, as always, come take a view, message me, review the video, whatever you need to do. I am always available to you guys. Just shoot me a message asking it, as well as I haven't been really getting any questions from you guys. I'd love it if you guys did. This is an open time. It doesn't even have to necessarily relate specifically to an assignment. If it's just one of those religion, faith, spirituality questions you have coming up, shoot me an email and I will address it for you. It's actually a part of, I enjoy this. It's one of the part of my jobs I'm enjoying right now. So make sure you keep those coming. As always, I love you guys. Hope you've been staying safe, enjoying yourselves, and stay tuned. I will keep you posted and I will be in touch with you throughout the week or next week. Have a great day.